Jackie Smiertka joining us now on the Oakland County MegaCast. She's the director for the Quality of Life Center. Jackie, for those not familiar with the center, explain exactly what you and your team do each and every day.
Well, our thing right now is to be able to take care of the elderly and not so elderly at times that have issues with dementia, Alzheimer's, varying types of dementia, I should say. And it is a daycare, much like a child daycare, but it is an adult daycare, considered a medical model and a working model, meaning we can have medical issues in, but we also put them to work.
But how are you doing this in the middle of the pandemic?
Well, we have not closed since day one. We are considered an essential business, obviously, especially for the family that have to take care of these their loved ones. And caring for the disease of the Alzheimer's is extremely difficult. So we've had a couple of people, one doctor who needed her husband taken care of, who was also a physician. So we needed to be able to help them. And so we have been doing the same safety measures that I did 12 years ago when I began. So there isn't anything different now than when I started 12 years ago. It's just to keep everybody clean. Now everything clean. And now we have to, unfortunately, we have to social distance everyone. It's very difficult to do because they're used to literally working at one large table together. So that's a difficult part for me and for them.
But when you have someone that's suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia and some of these other issues mentally, how do you explain to them that they need to be away from other people? That has to be a challenge each and every day.
It is to a point, but amazingly enough, they're able to understand that part. Simply because we say, okay, we have to, stand away from each other, and we don't always say social distancing, but to stand away from each other. Their seating at the work table is done with extended tables, so they're automatically at seating areas where they are distanced from someone else, from another person. We have 4 dining tables that next week we will be utilizing because we will have 4 men coming in at the same time, and they'll each have their own work table. So that will be very good.
But you have to be somewhat of a lifeline to so many of these families because emotionally, people need to take a break and they need to live life and get things done. And that can be a challenge while they're also trying to care for a loved one that's suffering from some of these illnesses.
Yeah. Caring for someone and I did for my mother, my husband and I did for my mother for 6 years. It's a very difficult thing across the United States. The latest statistics in 2018 was there 17 to 8, it's almost 16 million people, family members, caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's. And unpaid, I might add. It's probably, as I always said, one of the most difficult jobs you'll ever have to do. So what I knew from my experience with my own mother was that these caregivers needed more help than just dropping off their loved one to be able to have a free day. So it's extended out to medical, it's extended out to helping them get veterans help. It's extended to many, many aspects of what we would never normally think about to be able to help these caregivers because they don't have time to Google. Unfortunately, their search is just limited to every minute being often having to search for their loved one if they would leave the home and that type of thing.
So are you seeing an increase of patients during this time or a decrease?
There was a lull in the very beginning. Everyone was extremely afraid. I did have 3 of my clients went down from 8 down to 3, and they were really believing in what I did, the 3 families that remained with me, and they're still with me to this day. The others were just a little bit more gun shy. They were too afraid and have not returned yet. One of them did pass away at her home, which was upsetting because we couldn't get her back then. But it's just, it is just really rolling with everything right now. And so I have two new guys coming in next week. So you just hope and pray that your census is going to stay up so you can stay open for business. I don't know how I would stay open for business other than I don't think about going out of business. So I will stay in business type of thing.
So, Jackie, you are definitely a person who, when you set your mind to something, there is no stopping you whatsoever. So you will be staying in business with that. So how are you paid? Is it through healthcare and insurance, or is it out of pocket for some of these families?
It actually is out of pocket, primarily the same as home health care is, unless it's health related and nurses have to come in, that is covered by insurance. But otherwise, if you just have a home health care company come in with the aides that are really of great assistance, that is not covered. It is a paid out of pocket experience. But given the fact of the cost of the facilities, that is what families turn to, is someone like myself or to home health.
With that, talk a little bit. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you finish your thought.
I am in the reasonable category because I have more clients at one time. So I'm $70 for an entire day. And that includes everything.
Yeah, because with that, you know, is it an all day situation?
Yes.
You have set hours? How does it work?
It's an all day. Right now, currently, we are open from 8:30 to 4:30. When we have had, like Chrysler workers, we've had to open earlier and stay open later. But right now, 8:30 to 4:30 are our current hours, and that's how we're working. And it does include everything. Breakfast they have before they come in, but then they all have a snack in the morning, a snack in the afternoon, and a lunchtime plus. They do a lot of work projects that they can take home or we give to charities.
I love the projects that you do. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those and why they're important?
Sure. If you see in the background, you'll see a Christmas tree. And the Christmas tree, it lights up. They just finished painting those. It looks like a little tiny tree made out of pallet wood, but it is, I can show you how it lights up. I'm sure you'll probably see it on television. There you go.
Oh, it's adorable.
So they just finished those. They will do all the painting, and the painting on some of these is so extensive and it's really difficult, but they're very diligent about doing it. Now, I might tell you that some of these clients have never ever painted before. And their loved ones are saying, yeah, well, good luck with that. But then when they get to see what they've done, it's really amazing. So everybody works. My grandma, I always tell them that my grandma's thing was idle hands are a devil's workshop. So everybody works. I just had one of my 85-year-old clients on Friday told me, I said, we have work on Monday. And she said, that's too bad, I quit. She's coming in. But that's what they do. They have probably done, if you go to Facebook and see our work on Facebook, you would be amazed at what they have done during this COVID period.
What is your social media site?
It's Quality of Life Center, Quality of Life Adult Day Healthcare Center. And it's qualityoflifecenter.net is my website. Website isn't really as good as what the actual, Facebook is, because we're posting on a regular basis almost exactly what they're doing. So, and the most recent one was showing what they have done, but to say, with the trees and another form of tree. And they just finished probably about a 300 object type of a project that is going out to a nursing care facility for decorating their trees. So a lot of what we do is donated to various areas. We just finished an angel project, and that's going to the elderly, low-income elderly that are in the communities. So, and that was a huge, I was kind of sick of angels by the time that was, but by the time I do any kind of embellishing, it gets to you. So there were 30 angels that went out, and they were really, really stunning. So, and that's on Facebook as well.
So with that, Jackie, I know that for you, your Dancing with the Stars is a huge fundraiser. Has that been put on hold this year, or are you going to try to do something virtual like some of the
We
other organizations?
we will definitely have. We did have it scheduled initially for February the 27th. We have moved it to May 1st. And my thing is that if COVID isn't first, I will be turning my whole facility into a mental health facility, because I'm sure they'll be stacked up like cordwood waiting to get in outside my door. So we look for the positive. And I might tell you, Ronnie, that through all of this, the very positive thing for me was I didn't know what was going on outside. I got a 5-minute dose of the news every day, usually from my husband. And then the rest of the time I was in the land of those who don't care. And that's exactly what I enjoyed also doing, was not really caring.
It appears we again have lost Ronnie and Jackie, but looks okay. They are back. Let's continue on with Ronnie Dahl and Jackie Smiertka on the Oakland County Megacast.
Jackie, you froze just a little bit,
Yes.
but if you want to finish that, you were saying that you're kind of in the land of present right now.
Yes, yeah, we laughed and we didn't watch the news, and we knew that there was a project that we had to get out, and there was a time restraint. It's an amazing group to work with, and people don't realize that part. At the same time, of course, I'm dealing with the families. One of my clients did lose her husband on Thanksgiving Day. So there was another issue and a lot of issues that come into play with the family members. And I try to be there as much for them as I am our participants in the back. I say I don't worry about the ones in the back. I worry about the ones that are pushing the wheelchairs.
And that's one of the things too. What about the additional stress that this time has put on the caregivers?
Additional stress could not be said better. It is a lot more of a stressful period. They have, who have been actually sort of quarantined in the very beginning, were very relieved to have the ability to bring their loved one here so they could have some hours of time by themselves to be able to, if they did anything but to go home and just sleep. And that was one of the things that I remember with my mom, not getting enough rest and just worried about what your next meal was going to be, and their next meal was going to be, and how their health was, that oftentimes you would forget what your own health is about. So it's me kind of pulling.
So it appears as Jackie's video has. Jackie, are you there? I'm sorry, you froze up just a little bit there.
Okay.
So quickly, if we can, do you anticipate, though, going forward with the outbreaks in the nursing homes, more people are going to choose to bring their loved ones home and then therefore need a service such as what you're providing?
I think that could potentially happen. A funny story, in the very beginning, I was called by, and I don't even know what the agency was, to see if I would be willing to take COVID patients. And I said, oh no, I have a safe facility here. I won't even let visitors from the outside and other areas of the building come back to where the daycare is. So it has to be a safety issue for those who I know are in just a safe area, be around safe people. So that's the way it's working right now. So, I do suspect that I might be having, in fact, the two gentlemen that are coming in next week, I think, as we all are, sometimes we get a little bit irritated with our spouse. I won't say that because my husband might be watching this. So, but You do, because they're like under your nose every day. So that's the reason why it's good for them to have a break, both sides to have a break.
Exactly, everyone involved. And with that, Jackie, I think just so people know, I did, Jackie, when she did her Dancing with the Stars, I did it the first year you put it on. Since then, I've helped you out through the years as being a judge,
Absolutely.
which I will say is much easier than actually doing the dancing. But Jackie, you do so much more than just running your adult care center. Do you want to talk about some of the other efforts and how people can join you in some of the other things that you do?
With Faith in Action, which is sort of a subset of what I actually do with the elderly, Faith in Action does help the elderly throughout all of Oakland County. Currently now we have a Mission Possible. Probably shouldn't call it 2020 because that was a bad idea, but we call it 2021, and that is to help do safety repairs in the homes of the elderly. We're recruiting construction companies to do the repairs, and we will pay for the supplies. So that's that. Currently, I am in sort of a struggle, as I had a discussion with you last week with a gentleman, him and his wife, elderly. He's a veteran, needs a ramp, and the housing facility where he is currently at is not wanting to put the ramp in because it's metal. So that's a go around. And it's something that we'll fight for between fair housing and the ADA, but particularly fair housing. So the Fair Housing Act. So there's a whole lot of things that can be done to be able to help, because this couple that we're dealing with, they're not the only ones. There are probably across the United States millions of elderly people that don't have the wherewithal to get help. So we have to be able to reach out.
And you do that, you help so many people quickly, though. Maybe if someone is laid off from work, they can't financially help, but they have the skills that could maybe help you out. How can they get involved and help or contact
Well, they
you?
can, yes, they can call, and we can always use volunteers to be able to help with some of the projects that we're doing. Sometimes we have to feel like we're an octopus when we're doing this, because we're getting them gloved up, and I always tell them they're going to look like surgeons because they're going to have shirts put on backwards. So sometimes that could use a few extra hands to be able to help, so that it would be helpful to volunteer to help us do that. It's extremely rewarding.
So with that, it appears as if Jackie did freeze yet again. Zoom is being so wacky today. I'm sorry, Jackie, we're going to go ahead and let you go. You froze up just there a little bit at the end, but just a reminder to everyone, if Quality of Life Center there in Auburn Hills, if your loved one needs a little bit of help during the day, if they are home with you and you need a break, it's okay to reach out and get help. But also Faith in Action, if you have the skills or financial means to do so, please reach out and help our elderly. Jackie, always great talking to you, always great seeing you, and again, thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate you so much.